Ryder, and I'm doing this project for Mr. Davidson's English class, and I'm working with Mr. Benarsic.
You're going to ask him to introduce himself.
Yeah. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Mike Venarsic, and I'm a senior lead systems engineer with Booz Allen Hamilton. We're a strategy and technology consulting firm, and we have over 20,000 employees worldwide, and we typically get involved with government or commercial clients, and we help them solve their most difficult problems.
Do you do any types of writing at your job?
I do a lot of writing on my job. As a senior lead systems engineer, my role is to work with other engineers and primarily help them understand what they're doing, ensuring that the systems that they're designing meet the desired intent and provide the desired behaviors, functions, and meet the desired requirements. So as part of that, it's important to do an awful lot of reading and writing in order to understand what the system has to do, to be familiar with the specifications and other documents that are relevant, and then to help guide other engineers in being able to do designs or create designs that meet those requirements. And as part of professional development, to continually improve my skill set, in an engineering discipline, the primary means of learning is through reading. There's published papers in peer-reviewed journals, websites, book chapters. There's an awful lot of reading that's required on the job. In my particular subdiscipline, I'm a system modeler, which means I model systems in a modeling language known as SysML, and I've read all the seminal works in that field. There's about 15 or 20 texts, and over the past 10 years I've read all of them. So finding the time to do that is important, and being able to read quickly, well, and retain is a key success factor that's enabled me to succeed in my career.
Okay. What types of skills are necessary for your tasks?
Well, as a systems engineer, it's important to understand that we need to understand the behavior of a system, what we want it to do, then how we are building it, or what pieces we're snapping together like Legos to make it do that, and then what functions each sub-piece is supposed to do, and then be able to integrate them so they all work coherently as a whole to provide the functions. That's what makes a system work. It's not just a box of parts, it's how it all fits together and interoperates. And then to be able to test and verify that it meets the desired intent. So it's very important to be able to, again, understand, be able to carry all that in your head, or use tools to leverage your cognitive abilities, and then to be able to read, write, and understand. So I'd argue that one of the critical success factors is being able to understand what you're doing and not lose track of it. One of the jokes in my discipline is, begin with the end in mind. Always keep a focus on the desired outcome, and if you stay focused on that, it does a good job of keeping you on track. And if we're fortunate today that a lot of computing tools have evolved to help us, the days of having to print out a huge wiring diagram and trace things with your finger to see what's connected and what are over. We now have tools that can very compactly present that in tables and things that we can then use to make sure that no requirements are missed, that all the right things are connected, that there's no mismatches, that you haven't accidentally connected a power cable to a data port or something like that. So there's a lot of really great tools that are useful to help us get our job done.
Okay. What made you want to do this job?
Well, I've always enjoyed engineering. As a student, back in 7th and 8th grade, I did the science fair. I stumbled onto metallurgical engineering as a profession, which is a discipline that focuses on metals, alloys, and their use. I won a number of science fair awards and pursued engineering as an undergraduate. Later on, I got an MBA at U of M. So Ohio State undergrad, U of M, master's degree, and then a Master of Science in Product Development at the University of Detroit Mercy. And that really shaped my thinking, because product development really tied a lot of the disparate things that I've been doing in my career at Ford Motor Company together into a coherent understanding of how systems behave and what they do. And I found that it's kind of a rare gift. Not everybody can think that way naturally, and so it's one of my strengths, and I've just played to that strength. So when I left Ford in 2009, I was fortunate to get employment at Booz Allen Hamilton, and since then I've been able to work on several defense programs, vehicles, and other things, and be able to use my talents in that way. So it's been very satisfying and fulfilling, and I'm just fortunate that I found a career that plays to my strengths. I'm not really a people person. I just play when at work. And so being able to read and write well, which is not necessarily common for most engineering types, has really enabled me to thrive and succeed, because it's important to be able to communicate clearly. If you can't express your concepts or your designs or whatever else it is you're doing clearly in a way that resonates with your audience, you've failed. You can be the brightest person in the world, and if you can't make anybody else understand your theories or concepts or designs, it's useless. And so it's really critical, regardless of what field you go into, to be able to communicate clearly with the people with whom you interact.
All right. Do you have any advice for a freshman student in an English class?
Yeah, for a freshman student, or for anyone basically, I have a couple simple suggestions. Number one, pay attention to your teachers. You know, it's important. English is a wonderful language. It's highly expressive and it's highly nuanced. And by having a good vocabulary and being able to assemble the words properly, you can clearly and unambiguously convey meaning, emotion, thought very, very nicely. But you can't do that if you don't understand the rules. It's like having a box of Lego. You want a big box of Legos with lots of parts, but you also have to know how they fit together to make something coherent. So pay attention to your grammar, your syntax, your vocabulary, highly important. The other piece of advice I would give to anyone, especially a freshman, is read a lot. Because the more you read, the more you understand what a good sentence looks like. You see how authors have used words and terms and turns of phrase, and it makes you a more effective speaker. I mean, I've been talking constantly during this interview, and it's because I've had a whole lifetime of reading. I'm an avid reader. I still read to this day, at least a couple pages a day of a book or more. It's important to keep digesting, and whether it's a fiction novel, a technical text, whatever, a history, biography. I mix it up. You want to have a mixed, varied diet of content, and it's so rich. The thing I don't like about kids today, and I'm going to sound like an old man now, I'm sorry, but this Twitterization and Facebookization has led to sloppy grammar, poor spelling, and basically an inarticulate generation that can't express themselves well. And there's a richness to a book. Even if it's something you don't like or don't agree with, you still can learn from how the sentences are put together and different writing styles. One of the key things from a leadership class I took was you need to make sure you express your thoughts, your style, your way. And so you need to feel and find your style. And the way to get that is by reading a lot and doing some writing as well. So don't be afraid to get practice. And when you have slack time, instead of messing around with Twitter or Facebook, take the time to read something. You'll be amazed how it nurtures and grows and helps you develop as a person as well as a professional.
All right. That was good. Thank you for the time. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. I wish you success and have a great day.
Thank you.
This concludes this recording.